Save files in video games. Okay, I know this seems like a very minor thing, but hear me out. A whole entire thing where, hey, here's the ability to save your progress so you can come back to it, and the plus side means the game developers can also make the game longer to compensate for the fact that, hey, I can save your game and come back to it. But even if it was just a simple thing, there are still several things that go on with this whole entire idea for one reason or another. Prior to this, and by prior I mean before my time, you just had stuff like passwords to resume. That's why I have that one video on freaking Legend of Mystical Ninja and how freaking why is this password so obscenely long? Yes, I know it's because it saves every single possible thing happen in the game. I'm just saying, I just want to resume from the level, but I can't because my password has a very specific situation that I don't want to be in. I just want to restart the level. But thanks to advancement technology, we now have save files, which allow you to just save your game. But you also a weird thing where save files aren't treated equally in games. Like, the biggest example being how some games will have multiple save files, some games will have one, and some games will just let you have a ridiculous amount. Like, the one that was my big pet peeve as a kid was the fact that Legends of the Ocarina of Time has 3 save slots. Nice. I had 2 other siblings. Then Majora's Mask, because it needed more space in order to fit the game, reduced the save slot count to 2. You dicks. So that one bugged me since, like, oh, now I'm the one on a save file because the developer decided, nah, we gotta focus somewhere else. Which I get it. Majora's Mask is a big game, but also, goddamn it. Then you have also memory cards, which was also their own pain. Hey, do you want to use this basic feature of a video game? Pay us money because, God forbid, we bundle this important thing with the console itself. You are also dicks. But also the fact that the save files took up space on the memory card, so you have to delete stuff from other games. The plus side being, hey, now other games can scan your data and give you neat bonuses. You play other games from a franchise, other games from a company, stuff like that, which was actually a very cool feature. Like, I know the big one people talking about is whole Metal Gear Solid thing, but how about games that were more episodic in nature? Like, hey, here's a Dot Hack franchise where Dot Hack, Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, Quarantine continue to one save file throughout all the parts. Then take that save file into Dot Hack GU, Rebirth, Reminisce, Redemption. I think I got that one backwards actually, in order to freaking continue your save file from there and stuff like that. Which also happens nowadays. Like, picture that Xenoblade franchise. If you have save data from one Xenoblade game, play another one, you will get bonuses because of that whole entire fact. Which is a very cool way of rewarding someone for essentially being a fan of a franchise. You get bonuses. Even 7 Remake and Rebirth also do that, granted to also a way less degree since you can't carry your save file, but you do get bonuses. The weird choice then becomes when developers are overly strict with save files and decide, no, you can only have one save file, only one, nothing else. Like, 2 games that come to mind for me, I believe would be World of Final Fantasy and Stranger of Paradise, where you can only have one save file. That's it. World of Final Fantasy having a New Game Plus mode, but hey, New Game Plus means restarting the game from the beginning, granted all your stuff, but it means all your progress, all your unlocks for the main scenario is gone. But they try to add the incentive by giving you bonuses, so there's stuff to look out for even if you do that. But that's more than New Game Plus territory, but it's one of those things where only one save file. Stellar Blade also only has one save file. But in that case, it's because of the fact that the game has major choices towards the end and towards your ending, so they don't want you trying backing out of it. So one save file to make you locked in to the choice you have made and everything. But there's a rare cases where it's like that. Other cases, I just don't know why the weird restriction on only one save file. Even in games that have plenty of save files, so they're like, on a 5, that's plenty of save files. But also, it doesn't have an infinite amount because there are other games you could just be like, hey, 99 save files, have fun. But some games will be like, here's like 15. Well, I mean, you gotta do 15, sky's the limit. Give me more. Why not more? Why not more at that point? Just give me all of them. A more interesting use of a save file would have to be Nier Automata, where the game has both manual saving and auto-saving. But there comes a point where auto-saving is disabled, so you still have manual saving and everything, which is a very cool way of pretty much doing it, because they try to add a freaking reason why that's the case. And this next bit, we're not going to Nier Automata spoilers, so skip ahead to this time in order to avoid spoilers for Nier Automata. Ready? Ready? Okay, let's go. You also have Ending E, where you do have the option after going through it to give up your save file to help another player in need. Because in the big dramatic sequence where you're literally fighting the credits, every single extra thing that's helping you is a player who willingly gave up their save file in order to assist you. And so you can do the same, highlighting that you won't get this back, and you may end up helping someone you may not even like. Are you sure? And it's a cool way of doing it, where one of the most precious things to a player, their progress, is being completely erased and undone, just so they can help someone else, and is one of the coolest ways of using a save system they've ever seen. However, thanks to cloud saves, that kind of also becomes a case of you could just re-download your previous save file, but don't tell the devs that. Shh. Thanks to the advent of further technology, you also have cloud saves, the ability to save your save files online. And despite this should be a basic feature, it's for some reason a paid feature on consoles for some reason. Everything with technology? No. F you, give us money for this. This also makes it more annoying because as the consoles kept going on generations, they kept being more and more restrictive on what you can do with your save file. Like, one of the cool things about the PS3, especially for its emulation, is the fact that because emulation, you can just stick in a save file you downloaded from the internet and play that on your emulated game on the PS3. So that was a cool way. Or take your save file out of the PS3 and put it on a PC for the emulation, which was such a cool way of doing things. But around the PS5 time, I don't think you even move your save file to USB anymore. I believe PS4 let you do that for safekeeping, but then PS5 is like, nah, gotta use the cloud or nothing else. For those things, it's like, why are we getting more restrictive with this? Also, even freaking the Switch, where all your save data is kept in the system memory, meaning you can't even move it to the SD card because it just lost the system memory. And even Nintendo advertised, what if something disastrous happens to your Switch? You won't lose your save file. Yeah. So let me put it somewhere else, you dickhead. Don't try and sell me a solution when you made the problem. And speaking of problems, sometimes cloud systems just don't work. Like Steam, where cloud saving is free, sometimes it just fails to download a save file. That says it fails to upload. It's rare, but it happens. Or it could be my favorite copy of Yakuza 7 on PC, where that game will just keep reverting its save file back to when I made Chapter 4 over and over and over and over in an endless cycle. Goddamn you, Yakuza 7 PC port! And despite the advent of cloud saves, some games just opt not to use it. There are many games on Steam where the save file is solely located on your computer and is not actually saved to Steam Cloud whatsoever. So with the technology, some people are like, nah, kind of thing. It's one of those things that, okay, that one I don't really get why that's the case. I get it if it was a game made before the advent of Steam Cloud, but once it exists, well, why not use it at that point? An interesting case of save file transferring that I did when I played Freedom Wars, the original version of PlayStation TV, was the fact that it was a game that only had one save file, because your save file is tied to your account and everything, would be the fact of me and my brother would essentially have multiple save files by, I don't recommend doing this kind of thing. I would essentially have to move my save file over to PlayStation 3 via the onward connection data transferring, and he would have to move his save file to the PC via the PlayStation app save file transferring over and over, so we can both effectively play through the game with their own characters and beat the game separately that way. Although downside is that feature started bugging, and so my Freedom Wars save file is somewhere on my PS3. I can't transfer it back, but it's on that console. I don't know if I get it back, but I got the remaster, so at least there's that. But there's a workaround that I did for technically trying to play a game in a way the developers didn't really intend, but the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation TV's freaking memory toothpick is already a pain in itself. And speaking of the memory toothpick, is also when freaking stuff like that that's required to save your data has to be something you also buy, and it's absurdly expensive, whereas Sony, you're the only one who makes this freaking memory card. So why the hell is it so expensive? What, just to be a dick? Is that it? I don't even get it. Like it's a proprietary system. You only make it if you jack up the price. Like, I get you hate Vita owners. Do you hate Vita owners that much? Or I was talking to a friend who had the fact that the Switch's base freaking memory is freaking 32 gigabytes, which has to be shared with the save files and the games themselves. He claimed, I'm just being a cheap ass and I want to buy a micro SD card. The answer is, yes, bitch, yes I am. Wait, I can admit what I am. So, whole entire thing where, because of the thing being sent to console, it means to share space with the other games. Granted, save files don't really take up that much space at all, period. But it's still one of those things where everything is saved to the one system. It can't be put anywhere else. It also means that your game, these places where you get to put your save data, is mostly being taken up by the games themselves, especially day and age where you had to install all your physical games due to the format of Blu-ray. Another interesting use of one save file is the game Undertale, where the game keeps track of basically everything you've done to an, I'm gonna be honest, absurd degree. And also even characters occasionally comment on some stuff you may have done or tried to do with your save file. Or even doing things in the game that will permanently mark your save file and will cause certain things to always happen because you did that in one of your playthroughs, which is a very cool way of using a save file system. Deltarune, on the other hand, has multiple save files, but that doesn't use save files in the same way as Undertale, so it makes multiple save files, so you can have multiple saves to see all the stuff the game has to pretty much offer with different routes and choices. Now, there are some gripes that people have when it comes to not save files, but save systems, like the fact that people want every game to have an autosave function, regardless of reason developers may have, because it's just a case of convenience, or it's the fact that the idea of manual saving is seen as so antiquated, or the fact that people just forget. There are games like Persona 2 and Dissent, Eternal Punishment on the PlayStation 1 that allow you to save anywhere and people will still forget they can save the game, kind of thing. So it's less so convenient. Sometimes it feels like people just can't trust themselves to use the open generated save system they have. Another reason for a lack of autosaves would be the whole entire point of, hey, we want to add tension. How do we add tension? Making you terrified that you will not make it to see the next checkpoint, kind of thing. Because many games will just make you go a long while without saving, and now the tension is less, what's going on in the game, what's the drama? It's now the real world tension with you trying to figure out, when can I save the effing game, when can I save the effing game, I went so far, but I want to go back, I don't want to go back, which is kind of a thing that you see a lot like horror games where it may make you go a long while without saving, or make saving require a resource in order to add more tension. Like, hey, do you really want to save right now? You made that much progress. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you really? Another thing letting the players save whenever they want or have less restriction is also stuff like people who rotate their saves, just use every save slot It's just pretty much, hey, so you missed something, and go back to a previous save, and that's handy. Or save scumming. People love save scumming. People love doing something, they get a bad result, they immediately open up the save file and go back. So I mentioned earlier example Thunder Blade, where developers don't want you to immediately backpedal on your choice, so instead, they pretty much just have a game autosave all the time, and so that means, nope, you're not going back, you made this choice, nope, kind of thing. But with save scumming, you can just repeat things endlessly. Like, a big case, and Andromeda understood, was with Fire Emblem or Fire Emblem Awakening, I believe, was the first entry to introduce casual mode, where your units will not be dead if they go down, it just won't be usable for the remainder of the fight. And there are people mad saying this ruins Fire Emblem. But if you see a Fire Emblem fan play Fire Emblem, you know they're save scumming. You know they will just redo an entire map and won't actually live with their choices. I live with the choices due to sheer apathy, but many people just won't. They'll just save scum and act as if they don't save scum, which is probably why later entries, like I believe Fire Emblem Echo is the first one to do it, and also you have 3000 Engage, and a feature where you can just rewind your turn, which for people who like save scumming is handy, until you realize it also alters how the developers make levels by adding in way more cheap shots, because now you have the ability to just at any time rewind the game, meaning now the game has to be built around that entire system. So dick move devs, but it's one of those things that people don't think about, just prefer not having to reload a save file when they just want to save a unit that died. There are some games that will have a mode where you only have one save file. You can't overwrite nothing, and once it's gone, it's gone. I know that I believe it originated from stuff like XCOM and Iron Man mode, I believe, where you can't really alter, you can't save scum, you can't alter it. Once something happens, it's done permanently. And I know that the Last of Us games also have their own kind of thing, where it's just one save file. Once you die, the game automatically deletes a save file and makes you watch it as it deletes the save file. Just so you know. So there are some games that try to add that as a challenge, where it's, hey, one chance, that's it, that's all you're getting, nothing else kind of thing. Which is, once again, another interesting use of a save file system, where it pretty much put it as, this is your one opportunity, don't mess it up, as just like a fun side challenge for you to do, try to overcome the game, say while you know it, with that one challenge. Last thing I'll mention are the games that try to explain how these save file systems actually work within the world, with such simple stuff like, oh, Earthbound, you're calling your dad and stuff, which also you get money. He gives you money after you do fights, right? And the fights themselves give you the money. Or something like I mentioned, Nier Automata, and how the save system there is important to the game's world and how things function. You have something like Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, where despite the fact that you're essentially just saving randomly, when you do get a game over, you are told that you're essentially being sent back to your last known record, i.e. to your last save file and everything. So even if the act of saving isn't necessarily in canon, the act of reloading the game is in canon, and so that's also another interesting way of having the save file system be acknowledged by the game itself. Shin Tensei also has essentially backing up your data from the comp onto a terminal, which are also your method of fast travel. You also have Total Artificial Dream in Arcadia, where the in-game explanation is that Sumi Reko just goes home and sleeps and charges her phone, which is the most mundane, honestly, the most hilarious case of he just takes a nap, and that's how you save your game. Mass Effect is also a big example because of the fact that you transfer your choices between each game, and you do want to go through the game specifically. I know that Mass Effect 2, when it came out, did have a small DLC you could buy in order to just make the major choices for Mass Effect 1, which, one, that should not have been DLC, but of course the publisher is EA, so of course they charged for it. And two, it was only the major choices in Mass Effect 1. There are many smaller choices that carried over into the games, and would not get accounted for, and the game wouldn't really know how to judge what you would do for them, so it kind of just was a weird spot for it. Once again, all your major choices, all the choices you make throughout the games transfer over, and there are certain payoffs you only get if you actually went through all 3 games, so go through all 3 games, especially nowadays since they're just bundled together in Legendary Edition, so do that. Golden Sun and Golden Sun The Lost Age also have you transfer your save file. When you beat Golden Sun, you're given a password, so you can then transfer it to Golden Sun The Lost Age, where it's not immediate what the effects are, but you do want to do this, you're going through both games, because of the fact that originally I thought the narrative for one game, but realized I couldn't realistically make a narrative that long for one game, so they split them into 2, with The Lost Ages essentially being more of a part 2 than a quote-unquote direct sequel. So you definitely want to transfer your progress if you're playing through both games in order to get the big intended result. And I think I mentioned before, I also did a thing with Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, and Oracle of Ages that also had a similar thing where you want to transfer the save file in order to, in that case, get the actual true finale of the games. Last one I'll mention, and I had to mention, is the No More Heroes franchise, where you save by going to the bathroom, which is also a different animation for both Travis and also Shinobu for No More Heroes 2, but also the fact that it's also referenced in the game as that's how you're saving the game, and also even Travis refers to the game as taking a dump. So it's a spread universe, kind of reference it, and even make a joke about essentially what a little save file break time would even be like. So that's all I just wanted to ramble about, the entire idea of a save system and how we went from here's a password to here's a freaking device you have to pay us money for. I didn't even mention the stuff like the Pocket Station, stuff like that, or the virtual memory unit, which were safe devices that also did mini games to enhance games, everything to a certain extent, although the Pocket Station was not released outside Japan, and the VMU unit was something that was actually beloved and, not gonna lie, also ahead of its time in the case of how using a controller for that kind of thing. But companies nowadays just either go for more plain save file system, or for some reason during the PS3, PS4, I think to a certain extent the PS5, games, instead of having their own save system, will instead save their data straight to the console, which also meant when those games got ported, they had to actually make save files for those games, or save file background and system for those games, since they can't rely on the PS3, PS4, and PS5 system just saving things straight to the console itself, which also means some games on your PS5 are saved to the console, some are saved to the old game file system, and it just depends on the game. It's gonna be a mess. Anyway, that's what I wanted to ramble about. Alright then, go out there, play games, hopefully you guys build a safer game, and hopefully remember to save your game if you're able to. Save your game. Save your game. Don't lose hours of progress of the game because you forgot. That's on you. You forgot. Don't forget, especially the game stream anywhere. Now save the game. Go drop a save right now. That's all I gotta say. Good day.